Never in my life did I think that a mummy could have over 500 nicknames. Yes, you heard that right. I'm talking about Otzi the Iceman, for whom over 500 nicknames were coined upon discovery. He only became famous as Otzi because of the place where he was found. But that's not the only interesting thing about him. In fact, there's a lot to talk about, from his origin to everything that the scientists have figured out from this mummy so far. So let's get right into it. The beginning. On the 19th of September 1991, 2 German tourists were out in the Otzi Alps, hiking along the east ridge of the Finai-Spitze on the Austrian-Italian border, when they spotted something weird. Helmut and Erika Simon were hikers, and on their way back, they decided to take a shortcut. However, while passing through a rocky gully, they discovered something that would change their lives. They saw something that at first looked more like garbage, but soon they realized that it was actually a body with its head and shoulders showing. The left arm of the corpse was twisted, while the skin was still intact too. After figuring out what they had seen, the couple informed authorities about it. Apparently, they thought that it was the body of another mountaineer who passed away there. But up until now, no one had thought that the body was actually a mummy from thousands of years ago. The next day, a mountain gendarme and another person arrived at the location and tried to remove the body from the ice. Half of the body was frozen, and it was difficult to remove it. They used ice axes and pneumatic drills. However, while they were in the process, the weather got bad, and they were forced to leave the body there and leave. On the 22nd of September, they were finally able to remove the body from the ice, and it was then sent to the office of the medical examiner in Innsbruck. Everything else that was found near the body was also sent for examination. After all, it was pretty unusual to find some weird stuff around the body of a supposed mountaineer. On the 24th of September, archaeologist Konrad Spindler, who was working at the University of Innsbruck at the time, examined the body. According to him, the body they had found was at least 4,000 years old. He had figured this out based on the typology of the axe and other things they had found near the body. But this was just the beginning. Later on, when the tissue samples from the body were also extensively studied, it was concluded that the body was over 5,000 years old, or some would say from the Copper Age. Studying his body. A whole team of professionals was formed to study Otzi, and this team performed autopsies on the body to learn different things about this ice mummy. Several tests were carried out, and it was examined thoroughly to understand the reasons behind Otzi's death. The corpse was X-rayed, measured, and dated. In fact, the tissues and intestinal contents were also examined. In order to study the internal makeup of the body, Connecticut scans were conducted, while DNA tests were done to study his genetics. And well, all of this work helped a lot because scientists were able to learn a lot about his diet, lifestyle, and likely the reason behind his death too. Let's start with his body dimensions. The latest estimates say that Otzi was about 5 feet and 3 inches tall at the time of his death. He weighed somewhere around 50 kilograms and was only about 45 years old. Just so you know, at the time of discovery, Otzi's body only weighed about 15 kilograms. That was also because his body got mummified soon after his death and didn't deteriorate to the point where estimating his actual weight would have been a problem. Not just that, scientists were even able to figure out where he was from. Pollen and dust analysis, along with the isotopic composition of his tooth enamel, revealed that he was probably from what is today known as the South Tyrol collage of Feldthurns. Scientists believe that he probably spent his childhood there and, in later years, moved to the valleys about 50 kilometers away from there. Now that's just about what his physique might have been like and where he lived. But what if I told you that the scientists were even able to figure out what this man ate about 5,300 years ago? Back in 2009, a CAT scan revealed that Otzi's stomach was in an upward position where the lower lung area should have been. Because of this, his stomach was analyzed, and scientists were able to figure out his last meals. There were undigested remains of ibex meat and wheat as well. Not just that, scientists were also able to tell what his normal diet would have looked like. Otzi probably had a lot of meat, wheat, as well as a whole lot of fruits in his diet. Not only that, but pollen was found in his food, which means he probably had his last meal somewhere in the conifer forest. Upon his hair analysis, scientists found a high level of copper as well as arsenic. Not to mention his axe was also 99.7% copper. This is why he's believed to be from the Copper Age, and scientists also believe that Otzi was involved in copper smelting. From the proportions of his pelvis, femur, and tibia, scientists were also able to tell that Otzi walked long, hilly distances and probably was a high-altitude shepherd. And now comes the best part. Using the 3D scanning technology, scientists at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano were even able to reconstruct his face. And the image they got shows Otzi looking much older than his age, with brown eyes, sunken cheeks, and a beard. The clothes, shoes, and tools. Studies have revealed that Otzi the Iceman was pretty well dressed too. He wore a cloak made out of woven grass and a coat. He also wore a pair of leggings, a belt, shoes, and a loincloth. And all of these pieces were made from different kinds of leather. Not only that, he also had a bearskin hat with a chin strap made of leather. While everything about his clothing is interesting, his shoes take the credit for being the most unique thing. It was revealed that his shoes were actually waterproof. Not only that, they were constructed in such a way that the wide surface area would make it easier for him to walk over snowy paths. However, they also stated that, because the shoes are actually quite complex, I'm convinced that even over 5,000 years ago, people had the equivalent of a cobbler who made shoes for other people. The belt he wore had a pouch sewn to it, which carried tools, including a scraper, a flint flake, a drill, and a bone awl. Now, if I talk about the leather used in making the coat and other stuff, there's a lot to describe there as well. Scientists have revealed that Otzi's coat and loincloth were made of sheepskin, while a part of his coat also had goat skin on it. The leggings were made out of domesticated goat leather, and the fur hat he wore was made from brown, bear skin. Otzi's genetic code. Even though the corpse was very well preserved, it was still a difficult task to be able to study its DNA. The reason? It had broken up and had mixed with different other components. Not to mention, this research was being done back in 1992, when studying DNA wasn't as easy as it is today. In order to study Otzi's DNA, the scientists decided to take a piece of his bone from the hip area and extract the DNA from it. And once again, it wasn't easy because back then, the right technology wasn't available. However, they were finally able to figure things out and studied the DNA to see his ancestral threads. The work they did with Otzi's DNA was pioneering and created one of the first and most detailed sets of data on ancient human DNA. The DNA extracted from his body told a whole lot of things about where his ancestors came from, if he had any health issues, and even some bits and pieces about his family. One major discovery they made was that Otzi belonged to haplogroup K1. It's a family tree that has become rare nowadays, and very few people from this group exist today. Most of them can be found in parts of Europe. Scientists believe that Otzi's mother's side was probably the very first farmers in the world who migrated from today's Turkey to Europe about 8,000 years ago. But once they tried to figure out his father's side of the the process turned out to be a little too difficult. Apparently, the DNA from the Y chromosome was too damaged to be studied. This study of his DNA also gave the scientist an insight into his health. For example, the scientists believe that he had a specific change in his genes, making him more likely to have had some heart condition. Some scientists speculate that, given the stiff arteries, he might have had a condition called atherosclerosis. Not just that, he was also lactose intolerant and couldn't digest anything containing lactose, meaning if he ever had dairy items, he must have gotten sick because of it. Now that's not even the end of it, because there's a lot more that scientists have found out so far about this prehistoric ancient corpse. Blood testing revealed that Otzi belonged to the O-positive blood group. And just so you know, that's the most common blood we find today all around the world. Living descendants. It's rare to find living descendants of mummies who died thousands of years ago. But Otzi took the trophy in this thing as well. In 2013, a new genome sequencing was conducted on Otzi's DNA, and the study was published, which definitely had everyone shocked. Apparently our boy Otzi still has living descendants, and scientists were able to figure it out because of a rare mutation in the Y chromosome in the DNA. During the thorough DNA analysis, scientists discovered the mutation known as GL91 in Otzi's DNA. This mutation is passed down to the males of the same DNA lineage. But here's the fun part. Upon finding the mutation, the scientists at Austria's Institute for Forensic Medicine used this mutation to trace down people with the same genetic makeup. By analyzing his DNA and comparing it with the genetic information of thousands of individuals from various parts of the world, the experts found 19 men living in the Tyrol area. It's important to note that this is the same region where the corpse was discovered, meaning his relatives were already around there. It's safe to say that these men they found are his distant nephews, so to speak, with a separation of around 300 generations between them. Otzi's family network was definitely vast, and it extends throughout Europe as well as the Near East, which goes on to show that his family wasn't confined to one specific place. New studies. Since the scientific methods continued to evolve and improve, the scientists made sure that Otzi was also studied thoroughly with the new technology available. In 2008, another round of DNA sequencing was done, and this time, several new things about the Iceman were discovered. Scientists were able to map out his entire genetic blueprint, or what you might know as the genome. Using the cutting-edge technology called SOLID, which stands for Supported Oligonucleotide Ligation and Detection, scientists were able to map out the whole thing. SOLID allowed them to produce a whole lot of DNA information in a short time and discover a lot of new things about Otzi. Having Otzi's complete genome allowed scientists to delve deeper into his genetic secrets, giving them the opportunity to learn about his personal characteristics, his family background, and how he relates to people today, as well as to ancient human beings. In 2023, another study was conducted, and this time, a lot more details were unveiled. As per the reports, a group of researchers from the University of Innsbruck, alongside the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, unveiled an updated and more detailed genetic blueprint of Otzi. This time, once again, DNA was extracted from his pelvic bone, and DNA sequencing was done using new technology. Now, what made this new study different was the fact that this time, scientists got to decipher longer and more precise DNA segments. Otzi's genetic heritage. In a notable discovery, it was revealed that Otzi the Iceman shared a genetic connection with the Neolithic farmers. These were the people who had left Anatolia, which is now a part of Turkey, to move to Europe about 8,000 years ago. This new information contradicts the earlier findings, which stated that Otzi might have been related to the steppe herders who migrated from Eastern Europe at some point in time. Scientists believe that the reason why the previous analysis had issues was maybe because Otzi's DNA might have been contaminated. Not just that, these findings also confirmed that he was a part of the unique subgroup within the Y chromosome haplogroup G. This lineage is still present in areas like Corsica and Sardinia. The truth about his complexion. Now, for the longest time, it was believed that Otzi was light-skinned given the area he was living in. But with the latest examination, things turned out to be a lot different. As it turns out, Otzi's skin color was actually darker than what scientists had assumed initially. This discovery was made after they studied and identified several genetic markers linked to skin color. The team deduced that Otzi possessed a mix of genes leading to a complexion similar to individuals from the Middle East or South Asia. They also observed that Otzi's mummified remains had a skin tone that closely matched the predicted pigmentation, ultimately confirming that the natural mummification process had little effect on altering his original skin color. Scientists believe that it's possible that Otzi wasn't exactly a person of color, but eventually naturally developed that complexion in order to fight against the UV rays in the high-altitude environment. His death. The initial studies were unable to tell anything about Otzi's death and how exactly he ended up in the snow from where he was found thousands of years later. The topic was discussed widely, but no one really understood what took his life. And even now, scientists have only been able to give some hypotheses about the circumstances behind his death and no confirmed answer. So let's have a look at what they have to say about his death. Among several ideas, there's one theory that stands out the most. According to this theory, Otzi died in a violent fight. He possibly was a part of a dispute between two groups and got killed in the process, or it could have been a personal disagreement that turned deadly as well. Another theory states that he was a human sacrifice. Because people were very much involved in such actions back then, this theory cannot be rejected fully. It's possible that his own community used him as a sacrifice for some ritual. One factor that might support this claim is the arrow wound in his shoulder. It's possible that the reason why the arrow wasn't found anywhere near him was that it was removed after performing the ceremonial act. And if that's true, it also explains why his body was left there in the mountains like that. Maybe the area was considered sacred by those people. It's very important to note that the people of the Copper Age were very much indulged in religious practices that required them to perform human sacrifices. Now, even though most people believe that it's a murder case uncovered after thousands of years, there's one more theory that goes against every other one. Apparently, some believe that Otzi was actually either a hunter or a shepherd who died an untimely death after getting into an accident. The believers of this theory believe that he might have been out in the mountains in search of prey, but died due to some natural causes or an accident. And that could be the reason why his body wasn't moved from there, maybe because they didn't even find it. While the theories about the circumstances around his death might vary, there's one thing that everyone agrees on. And that is that Otzi died because of the arrow hitting his shoulder. He suffered blood loss because of the injury and couldn't make it out alive. The mountains took him in and kept him hidden for thousands of years until his body was found by the travelers. Preservation of the body. When found, Otzi sparked quite a buzz all around the world, and even after 3 decades, he's still one of the most talked about mummies in the world. Although he is mostly known as Otzi, he has many other names, such as Frozen Fritz, Similon Man, Iceman, and Tyrolean Iceman. As of now, the corpse is kept in a state that halts decay. He's kept in a refrigerated box with glacier-like conditions. In order to create those conditions, Otzi was accustomed to a unique preservation chamber. This unique chamber was specially built for him, and it maintains a chilly -6 °C temperature while the humidity level is kept at 98%. As of now, the body is kept in the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology, Bolzano, Italy. It wasn't until October 1991 that it was finally proved that Otzi was, in fact, on the Italian side and was rightfully owned by the country. If you ever visit Tyrol, make sure you go and meet Otzi as well. Maybe he awaits someone there too. And this was all that scientists have figured out about this 5,000 years old human corpse. What do you think about it? Was he really not sacrificed? Let me know in the comments below. Also, before you leave, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll be back with more amazing videos soon. See you in the next one. Goodbye.